Hello, this is WildKarrde speaking, and in today's episode of Automation I'm taking a bit of inspiration from Ferrari. I recently found out that in the 50s they made a series of inline 4 engines. I wasn't aware that they had made any 4-cylinder engines, so I found that pretty interesting. The pinnacle of these engines was a 3.4 liter inline 4 that produced a total of 280 horsepower. So I decided to take inspiration from this and build my own car with a similar engine. Now this car isn't going to look anything like the real one because there isn't a body style similar to that, but I'm going to go ahead and name it the same thing just because of the simple fact that that's where the inspiration comes from. The 860 Monza was a WSC racer, so this wasn't a car that you would see on the road very often. The man who designed the engines was named Lampretti, if I'm pronouncing that right. And this particular engine was the Type 129. And it came out in 1956. I believe 1950 was the first one, and it was only 4 cylinders. So this engine went through a lot of evolution to get to where it was. This is the most Ferrari looking body in the game right now, so I'm going to go ahead and base the car on this, even though it's nothing like what the actual car looked like. Speaking of the actual car, it was actually a roadster. Didn't even have a roof. So, you know, just keep in mind if you go and look this car up on Wikipedia or something, it doesn't look anything like what I'm making right now. Tail lights are being a bit annoying. I guess I'll go with something a little bit more boring, just to speed up the process. I guess that's not too bad. That's quite Ferrari looking, especially for the era. I've already got way more cooling than I need. 280 horsepower doesn't take that much. Look, go ahead and run with that. Whenever you get these badges on weird angles, they'll deform like that. Just shrink them from the top down and they'll fix it for you. So there you go. Body Design 101. And now to create the engine. As I stated before, this is an inline 4. It was actually an aluminum block, but I don't have that option in automation, so it is cast iron here. And the exact dimensions of the engine, it had a 4-inch bore. And the stroke I couldn't get exact. I had to choose between the exact stroke or the exact CC. So I chose the exact CC. And the way I did that was setting this to 4.205 inches, but it's still not right. I'm going to have to drop it on the next screen a little bit more. It was a dual overhead cam with 2 valves. This is accurate to what the actual engine was. And I can't drop it yet, but this is where I drop the engine down to the exact CC. And there it is. The engine was 3432 cc. And this is a race engine, so obviously the quality is going to have to be high on it. The compression is close to what the real number was, but not exact. I didn't get any information on the cam profile, so I don't know about that. What I do know is I have a decent idea of what the engine looked like. They called it the redhead because of the red cam here. Not cam, but a valve cover. So that's similar to what the engine looked like, as close as you're going to get in automation anyway. And of course we've got to pump the quality up to make this work. No turbochargers back then, so naturally aspirated. And it was of course a carbureted engine. It had 2 carburetors. So there we have that. and of course race car, so there we go. And no catalytic converter or mufflers, but high quality. Now I messed up a little bit. I'm following, of course, the design I made on my Surface Pro 2, and I didn't see the dual carburetor option on that, so I'm going to have to tweak this a little bit to get it to the right horsepower. Does not like my RPMs. Nor does it like my fuel ratio. I couldn't get any information on how much torque that car had, so I'm just focusing on the horsepower here. It is a race car, but I want it to at least last an entire race. I wish I had some better components here. I could easily get that horsepower by just boosting up the RPMs a little bit. But it's not so easy if your bottom end components aren't capable of doing it. Not looking good. Well, 27 reliability, that's actually a bit better than I had on my Surface Pro engine. The only way to really increase the amount of fuel I can use is with a different carburetor, but that would be inaccurate. So I guess I'm just gonna have to stick right here. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to stick with 6,000 RPM here. And there we go, 280 horsepower. And it didn't blow up, so success. Now to make the chassis, which is no big deal because, as Mr. Ferrari said himself, you're really buying the engine. The chassis just comes for free. And I do have that designed already, so it shouldn't take as long as it did with the engine. Drum brakes kinda suck, but this is 1956, so here we go. Makes setting up the brakes a little bit easier, or simpler anyway, because there's no options really. Except for quality. Throw that all the way up. Do want maximum downforce. And a rear bias on that force. Again, reduce brake fade here. And the car doesn't need nearly this much cooling. It needs, as you can see up there, 169.3 kilojoules. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that down. Two seats, of course. And advanced safety, because this is a race car. Needs some roll cages and all that good stuff in it. Standard springs, twin tube, passive, race car. And it looks like I didn't do much editing here. So let's see what this thing can do. 18.1 miles per gallon, that's probably pretty optimistic. I doubt the actual car got anywhere near that. But we're looking at a 0 to 62 time of 6.8 seconds. That's fantastic for a car in 1956. And top speed of 165 miles per hour. I'm going to see if I can improve that any. Not much, if any. So nope, this is pretty much the best it's gonna be. go ahead and give it a quick run around the airfield track. For 1956, this thing is quite the beast. Looking at a total time of 1 minute 38 seconds. That's just amazing for 1956. Nowadays, a Toyota Corolla could just about do that, but it wouldn't be nearly as fun. If this car were actually on the Top Gear test track, it would be running at times similar to a Maserati 4200 GT in very wet conditions, Saab 9.5 Aero, and a Honda Civic Type R. Also would be close to Alfa Romero 8C Competizione in very wet. So, not too shabby. Of course, this track is always perfect driving conditions. Didn't mean to cut it off early there. So we're just going to go with this time right here. So, there's the car. Not a half bad looker, I do say so myself. And quite the performer for the time that it was created. Hope you enjoyed this video, and tune in next time. Take care.